It's not easy being a police officer. Day in and day out, they risk their lives to protect us. But lately, some police officers have been seeing things. In Detroit, police killed a man who was holding the remote control to his VCR. The police said it appeared to be a gun. In Arkansas, a policeman shot a man who was holding a hair clip. The police thought the clip was a gun. In Chicago, a police officer shot a South Side woman who was carrying a spatula. You guessed it, he thought the cooking utensil was a gun. These days, it seems like when a police officer sees a black person, they see a monster. And every time he sees a black person holding something, he sees a gun. One night last year, 4 New York City police officers saw the same thing at the same exact moment. They shot and killed Amadou Diallo by firing 41 bullets because they all saw a gun in his hand. But once again, it wasn't a gun. This time, it was a wallet. A wallet?
Sociological studies have shown that if you're a black person who kills a white or alleged to have killed a white person, you are 6 times more likely to have the death penalty.
There are many ways of putting the whole notion of why someone ends up on death row. I think no one's really put it better than an old mentor of mine, Steve Bright. And Steve wrote an article which was about how the death penalty is not for the person with the worst crime, but the person with the worst lawyer. And, you know, if I can be vain for a second, and I really shouldn't do this, someone will strike me dead for saying this, but I've tried a lot of capital cases, and none of my clients ended up on death row in the end. Thank goodness. I mean, I lost sleep over it for so many years. So the people who you really give a decent trial to, and this was generally because I had a lot of young people, by and large, who were doing all the hard work, and I just got to do the little argument at the end and take the credit for it, but none of them ended up on death row. Whereas if you take someone like Linda Carty, for example, represented by this guy Jerry Guerino in Texas, I've tried more cases than Jerry has and got no one on death row now, and he's got 20 people who have been on death row and a large number have been executed, and poor Linda is likely to be the next. And, you know, that's not because one person's a better human being than another. It's not because the people he represented were worse than the people I represented or anything like that. It's because the people he represented got rubbish representation. And, you know, whether you blame that on the bad payment they have or on the fact that he didn't care or whatever it may be, I don't know. It's just a terribly arbitrary way to decide who dies. And there are so many other factors. I mean, you think about, it's mainly poverty, quite frankly, but race plays a very big issue as well. And there was a very eloquent statement by Justice Brennan in the McCleskey case. And I had the great privilege of representing Warren McCleskey in his last appeals. And what William Brennan said in his dissent in McCleskey was, you know, there comes a time in any case when perhaps, hypothetically, you know, the lawyer sits down with his client and says, the deciding factor here is not what you did, it's what the color of your skin is. And, you know, Brennan, to his lovely guy, and I mean, he was saying this as sort of academic exercise, as if it was something that was hypothetical. I've had that conversation with many prisoners. And, you know, you take Sam Johnson. I remember Sam was a black guy from New York who was accused of killing a white police officer in Mississippi. There was a very strong case for his innocence, but we were doing a resentencing trial. The only question was life or death. And, you know, it wasn't a matter of whether we could find him not guilty or not. And with Sam, I had exactly that conversation. I said, look, Sam, by far the most important factor in this is not what you did, what they say you did, who the witnesses are, or whatever. It's that you're black and the police officer's white. That is going to be the dispositive issue in your case, and we need to take care of that. And we did.
Race remains a factor in the society. That doesn't lessen the incredible progress that has been made. I am standing here as testimony to the progress that's been made. And yet, the fact of the matter is that, you know, this still haunts us.